Char and Liann, blessing, take one. Welcome to the Blessings Tea Time. I am writer, creator Liann Kaye, and today my sister will be interviewing me about the series.
Hi, Liann.
Hello.
Nice to see you in a different room for the first time today.
Very true, we both live here. Would you like some tea?
I would love some tea.
This is the skinny tea or pour that our Uncle Boonwat likes, so this is dedicated
Shout out Uncle Boonwat.
to you, Uncle Boonwat.
Cheers. All right, Liann. Well, I've seen this series be created from soup to nuts, and I know the answer to this question, but I'd love to tell everyone what inspired the series.
I do want to keep clarifying that it is not a true story in the sense that my Italian fiance did not have to go around and ask my Chinese family for my hand in marriage, but I did want to look at my Chinese family through the eyes of a blank slate. And I liked the idea of having this guy who is not from Chinese culture have to come in and talk to each one of my family members just to get their perspective on marriage, their opinions on marriage. And it was a fun exploration for me to imagine some conversations that I haven't been able to have because we've never met any of our grandparents, even though we've heard the stories. And also document some of the conversations that I've had with our parents about what they think about marriage, because they're very complicated people. So
They are complicated people, and it's true. All writers, including myself, borrow from real life, and I think you did a great job using your imagination to create this world.
Thank you.
So you hired a mostly Asian, pretty much all female boss lady bitch crew.
What was fun about having a mostly Asian female crew was that me and my colleagues were all at the same level of, okay, I've assisted enough, I've worked for someone else enough, I want to make my own thing and be the head of my department. I guess we'll start with Connie, who was a camera assistant for Spielberg and Scorsese. And so with Connie, she was like, I'm done being a camera assistant, I want to shoot. I have a camera, do you have a project? Let's go.
And if you know her, that's exactly how she talks.
Yeah. I was like, okay, let's go. For Joyce, she found me at the Big Apple Film Festival and then also emailed me and was like, I want to produce this, which was awesome. And then Bethany was our production designer. I did specifically want an Asian production designer to just decorate the house the way that an immigrant family would. And
she crushed it.
the shorthand of that was just awesome. She just knew exactly what kind of Chinese calendars and the rice cooker and those Asian scrolls that you hang up on the wall. And
It's that weird cat thing that goes like that. Yeah.
Exactly. And then on top of that, some of our episodes are both in English and Mandarin. That was really great because a lot of the people on set could contribute to pronunciation, that the translation was correct, even if it wasn't their job specifically.
So the $1 million question is, what did your fiance think
of
the web series?
Well, he's been on this journey with me for a long time. When I first made the short film, which is the pilot, we weren't engaged. We were just dating, and I really thought that the difference in size between him and my mom was a really funny physical visual. I was like, I would like to see a short film kind of just about that, this tiny Asian woman bossing this huge big white guy around a park. And out of that kind of grew well, he needs to have a goal, and it would be more elevated if his goal was that he wanted to propose as opposed to anything else. And so I went to him and I was like, I'm not asking you to propose right now, but I just think for this story, this would raise the stakes. And he was cool with that. He was like, yeah, I get it. And then when I used it to apply for the grant, we went through all the rest of the family members. I showed him the script and his first question was is this Leo character me? And I had to tell him, no, I really don't think he's anything like you. I think he's a lot like me. He babbles a lot, he's very awkward, he's very nervous, and he basically gets bossed around by these people, and he asks a lot of questions, which is what I wanted to do with my family members. On top of supporting me emotionally, he drove the truck. We went to Jersey to pick up really heavy equipment. He helped me load it in. We woke up probably 3 days in a row at 5 a.m. to, get the van, get the equipment. And then after the shoot, we had to return it all. And I think when he realized it wasn't me, or it wasn't him, he felt better about it. And then as another artist, I said, I'm sorry that the story turned out this way, because I do get into this 3-month period where we broke up and got back together, and it just seemed like that's what the story wanted to be. And I think if you're not an artist, you're like, what are you talking about? But if you are, you might understand that the project itself kind of has a soul and will tell you what it is if you search for it.
Yeah.
And if I had a partner that didn't understand me needing to quit my job and go make this series, I don't think that I would be the person that I am today. It was just very, very special to have him be a part of that.
So you've directed my music videos for the past 10 years, and I'm so proud of the work that we created. And I'm also so proud of you for stepping into this role as an artist and a writer and a director when you've done so much corporate work, as we all have. I'm curious, what has this journey stepping into narrative filmmaking been like?
It's been really scary and like really vulnerable. I think even being interviewed here today, I'm not used to being on camera. I remember I had a freak out about all of this and went to you. You're the person who I know has been doing this for a long time as far as making music and putting your most vulnerable feelings out there. And I remember asking, just like, how do you do this without feeling completely exposed? And I think my question at the time was like, what if you put everything you have into this and nobody cares? And I thought that you had a really good answer. Do you want to answer?
I don't even remember what I said.
I think you just said, like, you just have to be honest and know, like, why you're making it. If you're making it to please other people, like, you'll never be happy. But if you're making it to express something and, like, hope that it connects with people, then that is, you know, how you survive. I wanted to make this web series so that I could share it with primarily my family and my friends. And the extra level of releasing it to everybody else has been
terrifying
idea that I knew was going to be part of this process and is becoming more real as strangers find me on the internet, which is part of the game.
So, as the story's protagonist is a white guy, you're bound to receive some kind of pushback about this interracial relationship. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I was expecting it and yet still surprised when I saw, you know, some of the comments. Like, I do think that a lot of Asian women, women of color, women in general get a lot of pushback against our choices and our agency. You know, there are people in this world that think that, I guess, if you're a person of color, if you're a woman of color, you should only marry someone within your own race. But I think that line of thinking is really
Antiquated
and reductive and upsetting. And I have been just trying to push forward with my story. And I guess, like, cycling back to where that hate comes from, it's a problem of a lack of representation of Asian faces in American media in general. And yes, we have been invisible for a long time, and Asian men have been not represented well. And so the invisibility of their stories is something that I really do want to contribute to, and I have multiple pilots and features that feature Asian male protagonists. But, you know, one story can't be everything to everybody. And it's also not a matter of whether I find Asian men attractive, because I do. This particular story is a story about the man that I fell in love with, who's not, you know, a white guy. He's a person, and he has a very rich Italian culture that I really wanted to share and explore. If it was an Asian guy marrying into an Asian family, it wouldn't be the same story.
And if you weren't an Asian woman, it also wouldn't be the same story either.
Exactly.
And it draws from your own personal experience. I think you've done a great job not tokenizing anybody.
Really, you only see people being upset at women for dating outside of their race. I feel like if a man does it, like, it's applauded. That just pedals us backwards too into this idea that women should be told what to do or controlled or who to date, and the unfairness of that is really something we need to be moving away from.
Yeah, I did see some comments on your trailer that were upsetting because it comes from a male perspective of, well, why does this Asian woman choose the white guy? And the sentiment behind that is like, well, she should choose an Asian man. And the fact that she's not choosing an Asian man like me is taking away from my desire. There's this sense of entitlement that I think goes for toxic masculinity in general that has to do with policing a woman's attractions and desires. And I think that we're at this cultural crossroads right now, which is really important that we're seeing all these different representations and these different ethnic groups in our media. So I'm so proud of you for creating this world and for bringing bits of our family into it, even though it's not 100% autobiographical. The spirit of what our family is, I think, shines through the story. We talked about this profile of Mitski in New York Magazine, where there was this wonderful quote that I will carry with me that says, "Writing demands vulnerability, but capitalism dehumanizes." And it's this paradox that we have to hold in our minds all the time. And everything in life has a cost, right? And so to feel the most wonderful, magical thing in the world, you are going to have to confront, like, haters and critics are proportional to success. And that is a reality of living in society and living in an industry where we create something. We just have to hold those two separate and make sure that we are doing this for ourselves and for our communities. And the older I get, the less I care. It makes me the happiest to share things with you and to share things with my friends and my musician friends and folks that I've known for 20 years at this point, which is wild to say.
I think that the support that I've felt from my community has been really special and why I love making art in the first place.
I love everyone that worked on this project. It was a delight to see it come to life. And I want to thank you, Liann, for bearing with me when I had my freak out about scoring this series.
I love the score, and I think that when you watch the series, you really need to look out for those beautiful little musical motifs from her pop songs that are now played on Chinese instruments in the score.
Well, thanks for giving me a chance, and I'm so proud of you. Thank you. Go watch The Blessing.
Watch The Blessing.
Woo!
Hi, I'm Liann Kaye, the writer-director of The Blessing. Please watch our series at blessingseries.com. Oh, hey, being on camera.
You made a believer, a believer of me. You can church, I'm so